Hello everybody, this is Nerdy Geeky, and today I'm going to talk you through the process I went through in building and painting Rey's Blaster from Star Wars Episode 7, the one that Han Solo hands her in the film. This is actually my first 3D printed kit and I bought it off eBay. Here's the parts. There's 12 parts and I used a mixture of techniques here to try and get a metallic looking finish as well. So first of all, I always sand down the parts, and especially on these 3D printed parts, because you can see some of the print lines, and there's also sometimes a little bit of this film that's left over, and it's quite shiny and it's quite smooth, and you're not going to be able to paint on it very easily, and you don't want your textures being mixed. So I just did quite a bit of sanding to begin with. Next, I glued a couple of parts that could be put together before any kind of painting happens. I do this mostly to save on paint, and because it's going to give you a better finish if the paint sinks in to all of the contour lines instead of painting and then gluing. And also, if you are a little overzealous with the glue, it can quite often strip the paint or cause like these sort of shiny spots on the paint. So I like to do as much gluing as possible before I do any kind of painting. I was quite liberal with the glue there, mostly because I could be, and I wanted to make sure that these parts were absolutely stuck down. And I always tape it up as well, make sure all your pieces stay together. It's sod's law that one of them's going to get knocked over, and this is really, really hard glue, and I'd have to break the pieces to get them apart, so I didn't really mess about with this model. And as you can see, I'm even going to glue things that will later technically be screwed down. The screws are merely decorative for this model, so I made sure I did actually glue absolutely everything. Working off the photos I had, there were no screws in this part of the model. I'm glad that there was holes just in case you wanted them, so I actually filled these holes in with model filler. Model filler is really easy to use and it dries really quickly, and I absolutely love it. I've gotten really into filling all the cracks and everything in with model filler. Some photos may look like there's screws here. That's probably because there was multiple props used. And I've gone off photos where every time you look at the front of the gun, you can't actually see any screws. So yeah, and then of course, once it's dried, you sand down the model filler as much as possible until you've just left whatever was in the holes or the cracks that you filled in. And I just check with my finger if it's smooth enough. And once you're happy, you can move on to the painting stage. Here I am in my glamorous pajamas, painting outside. I put on a white primer coat first, and then I put on a black undercoat. And I put on the black undercoat because it's going to give that metallic look like it a little bit dark. Here you can see it's a matte black undercoat. Next, I sprayed a gloss black onto the actual handles of the blaster. This isn't my usual airbrush setup. This was a bit of a quick and dirty one because these were the only two things that I needed to paint with the airbrush, and they were real easy, nice and quick. Next, again, as always, I'm going to glue together as much as I possibly can. So I glued these two pieces together because when I start weathering this and trying to make it look metallic, I want as many contours as I can get. It'll make it stop it from looking like a kit then. Here I'm using silver rub and buff, actually, which is wax based. And this is, I love rub and buff. I've really gotten into it. So I rub and buff the entire model first. Next, I use a black oil paint to get into all the contour lines and all the cracks and anything that I want to really show, especially from a distance. So I mean, I really smear this on, but because it's an oil-based paint, it's very thick. And I try and get around as much as I can. I don't do too much at once, of course, because I don't want it to dry like this. I don't want it just to be all black. But you can see it getting into all the lines of the blaster here. Then I take a cloth, dirty cloth, just take a cloth, and I just start wiping it all off. I wipe off basically as much as I can, it just leaves the black in all these contour lines, and it also accumulates in the screws, and it also accumulates like at the side of the screws, and anywhere where there's any kind of lip in the model. And I'm going to do this, I repeat this, I think I repeated this quite a few times, and it's alright. If you put on too much and you don't like what it's looking like, you can always just go back and you can re-go over it with the rub and buff. I think I had to a couple of times. It took me a few times to really get this right, but when I did get it right, I was very, very happy with it. And the black, it slowly stains the rub and buff as well, and it makes that rub and buff start to look more metallic than it is, because you've got that black starting to show through on the top as well. And then basically I just glued all the parts together and I added the rest of the screws and I was done, and here's the finished product. I was really, really happy with it. I did all those techniques across just the whole of the blaster. I actually used Torque screws, the little star-shaped ones, because I'm pretty sure they're the ones that are used in the actual prop, and I've seen them quite a lot when I look at prop photos and reference photos. Always get reference photos before you make these guns. So I'm going to link my Instagram below, because I actually put up these work in progresses whilst I'm doing them, and I put them up to my Instagram. I hope you like it. I hope it looks metal enough. I was really, really happy with it. This has been Nerdy Geeky. Feel free to like this video if you liked it, and do subscribe if you want to see more. And if you want to know more, then please drop me a message on any media. Thank you.